He smashed London to save it. At dawn, the street still stood, whole doors, straight beams, washing limp in the heat, and Ned Harrow was told to tear it down before the fire could reach it. He had spent his life setting things right. A warped beam, he could brace it. A cracked stair, he could steady it. A wall leaning where it ought not, he knew how to coax it back into sense. Wood spoke to him, so did brick, so did the weight of a roof when it settled wrong. Men trusted him because he made things hold. That morning, a city officer pressed powder into his hand and told him to make things fall. "Here," the man said, voice thin with smoke and authority. "Break it, all of it, or London goes with it." Behind the houses, the sky burned like a furnace door left open. Ahead, shutters still closed, a dog still tied, a kettle perhaps still warm on a hook. Ned looked at the row, measured it, felt it. Good timber, honest work. "Right," he said, and it sounded like a betrayal. The first door took 3 blows, not because it was strong, because his arm did not want to swing. "Out," he called, once, twice, no time for speeches. Inside, a woman shouted back something sharp and panicked. He caught only the word thief. Of course she would. Behind him, one of his lads shifted. "Ned." "We open it," Ned said. "We clear it, now." The third blow split the hinge. The door sagged, then tore loose with a crack like bone. The woman lunged at him before the wood hit the ground. "You bastard!" She struck his chest with both fists, more shock than strength. Behind her, the room was still a room. Table, cups, a chair worn smooth by years. Still a life. Ned caught her wrists, not hard. "Take what you can carry. Now, fire's coming." "It's not here," she spat. "No," he said. "That's the problem." A brick flew from somewhere behind her. It clipped one of his men on the shoulder. Another voice. "Looters, bloody looters." And then more shouting, swelling, thickening like the smoke rolling in from the east. Ned let go of her and stepped past into the house. "Chests first," he barked. "Blankets, anything quick, move." They moved because he sounded like he meant it. They moved while the street decided he was the enemy. By midday, the air tasted of ash and old iron. They worked with hooks and axes, tearing walls open like ribs, doors ripped free, windows smashed out, goods dragged into the street, piled, kicked, lost, claimed, stolen. Because now it was impossible to tell. A silver cup vanished from a stack Ned himself had set down. A man swore he'd only just saved it. Another swore he'd owned it all his life. A third slipped it under his coat, while both argued. "Leave it," Ned snapped. "We're not sorting honesty today." But honesty was exactly what the street wanted from him. "You break it, you buy it," someone shouted. "With what?" Another laughed, cracked and wild. "Ash?" The fire was closer now. Not seen, not yet, but felt. Heat on the face like a hand held too near a forge. Timber creaked before it caught. Tar softened. The whole street waited to burn. Ned could feel it in the beams. "Faster," he said. Axes were too slow. They always are, when time turns. The order came with a man who would not meet his eyes. Powder barrels rolled in, stinking sharp and final. "Set charges," the man said. "Blow the line. You've no time for chopping. No time for dignity either." Ned stood in a stranger's home, bed neatly made, a child's shoe under the stool, a ledger open on the table, and measured where to break it clean. There is a way to kill a house well, a weak point, a truth in its bones. He set the powder there. A man came at him with a poker, face grey with rage. "You'll not blow my—" Ned turned, caught the iron on his forearm, felt the shock run up to his shoulder. "It's this," Ned said, low, close. "Or it's the fire taking it with you in it. Pick." The man hesitated. That was all the time there was. "Out!" Ned roared. "All of you! Out!" He lit the fuse himself. The blast came like the world tearing cloth. Timber burst, stairwell vanished, a life collapsed into splinters and dust and a sudden awful space where a home had been. Silence followed, brief and stunned. Then the shouting came back, louder. They should have started sooner. Ned knew it, said it, argued it with men who counted property while the fire counted distance. "Give us leave," he'd said. "We break it wide, we stop it here." They had hesitated. Papers, permissions, promises of compensation, no one believed. By the time the word came proper, the fire had leapt. It did not creep, it did not argue, it ran. A street he had marked that morning, there, break there, that'll hold, went up in one long, hungry breath. Flames jumped the gap he had not been allowed to make. One of his lads, young, too quick to prove himself, was still inside a half-cut frame when it gave. Ned heard the beam go before he saw it, a scream cut short under the crash. He did not look long. There is no time for looking. Clear it, he shouted, voice breaking on the edge of smoke. Clear it, or we lose the lot. Half measures, he thought, bitter as soot. That's how you lose a city. By evening, the crowd had turned proper. Not just the desperate now, not just the owners of broken homes, men with nothing to lose, men with something to gain, men who wanted a face to strike because the fire could not be punched. They chose his. There! Someone yelled. That's him! The one smashing doors! They're robbing us blind. A stone caught him high on the cheek. He tasted blood, hot and immediate. One of his men grabbed his arm. Ned, we should pull back. They'll have us. And leave it? Ned said, jerking free. You see what's behind us? Behind them, the glow had thickened into something alive. Not a colour now, but a presence. The fire was close enough to have a voice. He turned back to the half-broken line ahead. One more street, he said. We take it, or we lose the river. The mob surged. So did the fire. Between the two, Ned Harrow raised his axe. The last break was a narrow choke of houses leaning toward each other like gossiping old men. Perfect place to stop a blaze. Perfect place to die if it went wrong. They set the charges fast. No ceremony now, no asking. Just hands, tools, powder, breath. Inside the final house, someone was still there. An old woman, stubborn as stone, clutching a small wooden chest to her ribs. I've lived here 40 years, she said, as if that settled it. I'll not... Ned looked at the fuse, looked at the doorway, looked at her. Time did not slow. It never does. He stepped in, grabbed the chest, thrust it into her arms harder. Then carry it out. She did not move. Behind him, a shout. Ned, it's ready. He could drag her. He could throw her over his shoulder. He could lose the moment. He could save her, or he could save the line. Ned met her eyes. Walk, he said, quiet as he had been all day. Something in it reached her, or broke her. Hard to say. She stepped, one step, then another. He pushed her through the door into waiting hands. Go, he barked. He turned, struck the flint. The fuse caught. He ran. The blast tore the street apart. Not neat, not clean, nothing honest about it. Walls folded, roofs dropped, timber screamed and vanished into dust and sparks. And then, a gap. A wide, ugly wound in London where nothing stood to carry flame forward. The fire hit it, and hesitated. Not stopped, not dead, but checked, broken, forced to feed elsewhere, slower, meaner, less certain. For the first time all day it did not simply take, it struggled. Ned stood in the ash and watched it, breathing like a bellows gone wrong, hands shaking now the work was done. Behind him the crowd had gone quiet, not grateful, just quiet. When the smoke thinned, London was still there, not whole, never whole again in the same way, but standing. Beyond the ruin Ned had made, streets still ran, roofs still held, lives, thousands of them, still had walls around them. At his feet, the broken line he had carved stretched like a scar. A child's toy lay half buried in the dust, wood charred at one edge, painted once, perhaps bright. Ned bent, picked it up, turned it in his hand. No speech came. What would he say? You're welcome? I'm sorry? Both felt thin as smoke. Behind him, someone muttered, He did this. Another voice, quieter, answered, I. Not praise, not forgiveness, just fact. Ned Harrow looked out over the gap he had made in his own city. He had saved London, by breaking it with his own hands, and London for the moment did not know what to call him for it. Intended frame. Dramatic retelling grounded in the great fire of London, focused on the human cost of firebreak demolition.